This clip is brought to you by VegasWinners.com. Get expert sports betting advice from some of the best handicappers in the world. Head on over to VegasWinners.com and win yourself some money.
Carry me through what you remember of that day. This is your first appearance. Again, remember now, we're in the height of the Monday Night War. The last time we saw Jeff Jarrett was last Monday on the other channel. And now he's about to walk out down the ramp here at the Marriott Convention Center in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, in front of 8,334 fans. Chat me up. What are you told before you go out there about what to say or what not to say or how to get your business done?
So we had agreed upon, and I say we, me and Vince, and
Russo or McMahon.
Good. Russo. My bad. McMahon. It was my start date's the whatever that Raw was, the 20th, and all this kind of stuff. And then it was, you go through the song and dance of talent relations and travel and whatever it may be. But it was set in stone. I'm starting on that Monday, and Vince Russo is going to get with you on the promo. And so the couple of days before that, I mean, he came, all kinds of stuff. He was talking about the Ahmed Johnson, the roadie, the singing cowboy. And, as the Attitude Era shifted, and Vince is saying, bro, this and bro, that. But no, I'm saying that out of all jest. But, he's saying that, look, no cowboy hat. And which I agreed. It was, we got to see Jeff Jarrett and that whole, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. We're I was all in agreement that Double J was such an over the top character. Let's go with the attitude. And Stone Cold was, you talk about red hot, and Shawn and Brett and just everything about the company had radically changed from a creative perspective that the whole world knows. The shift from the new era. No, what was it called? Yeah, the new era. What was
new attitude? No, next generation.
Yeah, that was those days were long gone. And so I was me and Diesel and Razor and all that, we were that generation. So Jeff's got to be, for lack of a better word, the evolution of the character has to come hard and heavy. And Vince McMahon was, for sure, I mean, he was all in on it, and we got to come up with the promo that works. Okay. So go ahead. I want to make sure that I'm following your question.
No, I'm with you. What we were looking for is new generation, not next generation. And then we mixed in attitude.
New generation was dead. The Attitude Era had come upon.
And hell, we can't even get our Vinces straight. Now let's play the audio here from the promo, and if you've ever, go ahead.
No. Yeah. So yeah. So I don't know if you want to play the interview first or afterwards, but it was this day right here, the Evansville, Indiana about check. This is another, communication is key. But again, I don't know if you want comments before or after or both.
Well, before we go, let's mention that, before we press play, Russo wrote in a blog post back when those were still a thing, quote, "The day of his return, I wrote an in-ring promo for Jeff, as I wrote all his in-ring promos. Jeff is just one of those guys that liked you to write his verbiage for him. After giving him his words, Jeff read through the promo and came back to me. Upon his return, he said everything was good, but that he was going to add one little thing. I'll let you respond to the one little thing later, but by and large, is what Russo's saying here accurate, that he wrote this promo and most of your promos?"
So short answer, yes. Vince and I can remember having this conversation with my father about, this is not on this subject. I'm talking about 93. Man, they really like to get into like exact wordings. And, at Memphis TV, Lawler or my father would give you 2 or 3 bullet points, but I mean high level bullet points. And then you had to go put it in your own words. That's what I was born and raised on. And then I get to the WWF and the Double J character. And I mean, just the simplistic spell your name on those opening vignettes. No. And Bruce would look, and it was such a learning curve, but in education, we're going to do the same thing, repetition over and over and over again. World's greatest singer, world's greatest entertainer, world's greatest wrestler. Ha ha. That's Double J, Jeff Jarrett. but, and I don't want to say scripted, but yes, your signature lines had to be delivered. And then a lot of it began scripted. So I would have those conversations with my old man, and he's like, son, let me just tell you something. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. 1, 2, if they don't like what you say, but you've gone off on a tangent, dude, it's all on you. So do what they say, do what they ask. Okay, that makes sense. And so no matter what, and certainly my first night coming in, yes, and Vince is like, I'm going to write the promos. As time went on and I wore multiple hats, Bill Banks, Jeremy Borash, others can attest, Dutch would never write it out. He didn't come from that generation. But other guys that were working for me, they would write it out. And it was to my best interest to go by that because they had thought it through. And I'm over here worried about finishes and contracts and Dixie and Bob Carter and 1,000 other things. But yes, Vince wrote my promos. That was his job. And he wrote a lot of other guys' promos, but he absolutely did write mine.
So without further ado, let's listen to what Vince Russo wrote and Jeff Jarrett said. This is from Oklahoma City, October 20th, 1997. If you want to watch this at home, we're 25 minutes and 57 seconds in. 3, 2, 1, play.
And
we have company.
yes, we do. We have a visitor, and he was not expected to join us.
Sorry, Vince. I know you wanted the big introduction. You want to be standing up here beside me, but I've got something to say, and I'm going to say it right now. Last week on Monday Nitro, Jeff Jarrett was declared everything but dead. Since I refused to accept Eric Bischoff's offer and re-sign with WCW, he did everything within his power to bury me. Being the coward that he is, he even hid behind his computer and announced to the whole world that he had pulled the offer off the table. Well, Eric, the only thing that you ever pulled from Jeff Jarrett was opportunity. Since I wasn't one of your boys, you put a lid on my potential. I was only going to go as far as you wanted me to. There was never, ever any ladder of success for me to climb.
Very candid comments from Jeff Jarrett.
I was one of the youngest, most talented wrestlers that you had, Eric. But you let me drown in mediocrity just because my stroke wasn't strong enough. Look who you booked me with, an ex-football player who can't even lock up. And his wife, she gives new meaning to the phrase dumb blind. Vince, don't sit over there and snicker and smile and cherish this moment, because I left the WWF 2 years ago for the same reason. Eric Bischoff did it out of either ignorance or inexperience of the wrestling business. What were your excuses? Remember the gold tooth?
The gold tooth.
Yeah, you think it's real cute and funny. Remember the gold tooth, the country music star? Vince, you had a vision of what you wanted Double J, Jeff Jarrett, to be. And quite honestly, in all due respect, your vision sucked.
Yeah, it may have.
You booked me with a clown, a drug addict, a black man who can't even speak the English language. Vince, you tried to bury me and you tried to kill me off, but you didn't get the job done. I guess you figured, since you didn't put my dad out of business, just like you put every other wrestling promoter out in the 80s, since you couldn't do that, you figured the next best thing would be to kill his son off. Well, Vince, not only did I survive, but I walked out on you. And how ironic that is that we make a deal and get back together and you pay me. That's right. You pay me a whole lot more money the second go around. And you know why, Vince? You know why? Because you need Jeff Jarrett. You need me to put people in seats and ratings on the board.
Oh, we're pretty
Vince,
good
you
with that.
told me to come out here tonight and shoot, and that's exactly what I'm doing, right between your eyes. You can take With My Baby Tonight and stick it up your butt. Because from here on out, it's gonna be Jeff Jarrett's way. And if you try, that's exactly right. If you try to stop me, fine. I'll gladly pack my bags and walk right out the door again. But Vince, I've got a question. I've got a question to ask you. Can you afford it? I don't think so, or you wouldn't have paid me all that money just 5 days ago. Now,
Very
on
candid
with the
comment.
state of affairs
Yes.
in the World Wrestling Federation. Bret Hart, the best there was. Bret, you are so right. With was being the key word. All your past accomplishments, you've been living on name recognition, all the respect you've gained over the last 15 years, well, that runs out tonight. And Shawn Michaels, physically, this guy can only wrestle once a week, and he's proud of that. He's proud of that. Shawn, you call yourself the showstopper, the main eventer, the icon that can still go. Well, I got a question. How often can you go? It seems lately all you do is run around here, put silly little signs, point at your crotch, and give your little hand signals to your boys in Atlanta. Shawn, one day you were the main event. You were WWF champion. You were the attraction. But now all you are is reduced because you're so broken down to hiding behind your infantile attitude. And speaking of attitude, what about Steve Austin? Now here's a guy who has lowered himself to shaving his head and coming out here every week, not once or twice, but 10 or 15 times, and saying the word ass. That's right, saying the word ass just to get a reaction, just to get noticed. Stone Cold, no, Stone Cold, you will always be the ringmaster. And as far as your, ladies and gentlemen, Stone Cold, as far as your blasphemous merchandise, that offends me. Austin 316 offends me because what you're doing is ripping off the Bible to put money in your pockets.
Hey, you get what you pay for, McMahon. Don't try to stop him now.
Oh,
Shut the
it's
mic
going to
off.
be your judgment day.
Yeah.
Vince, you wanted the real Jeff Jarrett tonight. Well, you got him. I just hope your investment's going to be worth all your headaches.
And certainly so do we. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with action. Yes, matter of fact.
Well, lots to unpack here, as I like to say, before we get into all that. What'd you think of the segment overall?
You know, and I can't say that I've watched this. I probably watched that just due to history and everything a couple of times. I thought it was delivered. Mission accomplished, I think, to not go off in a rabbit hole and nitpick it, and I'll let you nitpick it and I'll respond. But the overall segment, mission accomplished. I told a backstory. I tried to put a nail in the old Double J character, the horse, the light, everything we were trying to do there and move forward and have attitude. give a little context to the the Monday Night Wars with Bischoff and that story, and tried to bring people up to speed that, okay, Jeff's been away from the WWF a year. I thought it was a sports entertainment, professional wrestling, attitude era, scripted promo. I thought it checked every box. I thought it was delivered well. I thought when you hear Vince and JR and Lawler throw in there, and I just, the chemistry and hearing Vince on commentary, a lot of new fans can't even imagine that, but I think Vince is the best straight guy, play-by-play in the history of the business. I think he's just phenomenal. And I was, to this day, I was very, very happy with the segment.
A little long for me.
Yeah, I got you. Anyway, but devil's advocate of that was they hadn't seen me on WWF program in a long time. And I agree with you, but also know that, gosh, how do we get all the story in? But anyway, that's nitpicking. Agreed though.
So, as we said before we pressed play, Russo said you changed one little thing. I feel like I can guess, but what was the one little thing?
Okay, you're assuming that he's telling the truth.
Okay, so you're assuming, or based on your recollection, then that was written and Russo hung out to dry here.
So the first, we'll call it sheet of paper,
first draft
that he gave me, he had, when I got down to the closing lines of the promo, he had it written. And this is where, again, communication is so vital. And I solely depended on Vince Russo. He had me mentioning Austin first, then Shawn Michaels, then Bret Hart. And I said, Vince, no. I said, Austin is red hot. Well, no, Bret's been around. I said, I get that, but we need to end with Austin. And if you hear the promo and the people started chanting, Austin was the most over babyface. He was red hot. I was going to say closing lines and all of that. And I said, Vince, and Vince, he talked about change. He knew exactly what I was going to say. And the little thing that I changed that he wants to say he didn't know. And look, I've heard him, let me say this. I've heard others talk about Jeff, he threw you under the bus. He said he didn't know this and didn't know that. And as we get into this whole following 2 years that followed up with this, Vince was like anybody, and like he did later at TNA, he was just doing his best to protect his ass out of job security. But he knew exactly what I was going to say all the way through the promo, from the beginning to the end. And the drug addict line.
All right, let's run a timeout right now and give you a heads up. Attention, sports bettors. Has anyone ever given you $1,000 before? Well, Jeff, our guest at this time, is trying to do just that. Welcome to the program, the king of Vegas sports gambling and America's odds maker. It's Wayne Allen Root. Wayne, how are you?
Hey, Conrad. Hey, Jeff. I'm not trying to give you $1,000 free. I'm giving you $1,000 free at VegasWinners.com. That's my website. And I know so many people in the wrestling world love to bet on football. It's an American pastime. It's now legal in most states, a majority of American states. And guys love to bet on football. But I know people get skeptical and cynical. So even though I'm the best in the world, the media calls me the king of Vegas sports gambling, even though I've assembled the best team ever, 21 great sports handicappers at VegasWinners.com, and you have 21 heroes to choose from who all are very good at what they do, I still wanted to give away $1,000 in free winners at VegasWinners.com to make everybody come, register, and do their thing.
Yeah, it seems like you've got it all over at VegasWinners.com. You've got free picks, you've got the best bets, and you're doing it every single day. Not just yourself, but 21 champion sports betting experts. Dude, this feels like a deal that's too good to be true. It's fully automated. It's completely private. You'll never even speak to anyone. So go check it out. Get $1,000. Are you listening to that? It's VegasWinners.com. Just log on to VegasWinners.com. That's VegasWinners.com.
On talking about Road Dogg, I was a little uneasy about that because I'm like, I sort of see, but I was already gone. That was a mess, but I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm going to do as, let's roll. It wasn't a hill to die on.
So you're saying here now that Russo is the person who wrote the blasphemous line.
No, I suggested, okay, if we're going to get technical, I suggested it and Vince knew I was going to say it.
So it wasn't you going off the cuff in the ring.
No.
So as the story goes, you walk backstage. Well, let me ask this. How did you feel walking up the ramp? You toss the mic, get out of the ring, walk up the ramp, come through the curtain. As you're doing that, did you feel like nailed that, got the response I wanted? Because in fairness, there weren't big pops for Brett and Sean as you're saying that, because they're both heels. This is knee deep into Brett being the Canadian hero who hates America. Sean, of course, is up and running with DX. So they're both heels. So when you mentioned Austin and the crowd starts chanting Austin, he's the first quote unquote baby face that you've listed. So it feels like in a traditional wrestling sense, boy, we've checked all the boxes. Were you proud of this? Did you feel like you'd hit a home run, or did you think, man, got to keep working at it, not my best outing? Or did you feel like nailed it?
Nailed it. Just candidly, Conrad, I went, hell yes. And if you're going to end on something, the top red hot baby face, something that I was born and raised and tried and true, if a heel came in the territory and Lawler had him go out as a booker, or my dad had them go out as a booker and start knocking guys that were semi-main event or mid-card, you kind of knew, okay, that's the storyline they're putting in. But if you walk out through the curtain, no matter who it is or when it happens, if you start knocking Jerry Lawler, you're perceived, boom. Maybe not your storyline, but you're perceived as a top guy. And so, yes, when I finished that promo walking up and the people were booing the hell out of me, I'm like, the two things that I felt good about, because I was very concerned, because I felt the Double J character over the top, that really had a hell of a run and got over. And so now the Attitude Era, I got to shift gears, and I got to make a hard right shifting gears. And I felt I did that in that promo.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.